So you've been asking, where is the other video for the EZ90? Well, with the way the parts are for this thing, luckily I have multiple projects going, because parts for this thing take me about 2 weeks, usually sometimes 3, to get for it. That's why the videos keep spacing out, where I'm building this one, then I'm working on this one, then I'm working on another project. But we got a video for the Cub today. This one I'm very happy with because I just figured out something for the Honda Cub. If you're following along from when I got this bike, I actually picked up 2 at the time. One turned to a full part out, and I used some of the pieces from that other one to finish this one. At the end of the video, I mentioned that after testing a few things, we didn't get spark. And I went through, I checked a lot of the harness. As you can see, this harness was already cut open from the previous owner. So it was just going through here, checking all the connections, making sure everything was good. I couldn't find anything on the harness that was preventing the spark. Took a look at the ignition, everything looked fine on the ignition. Bypassed the brake switch because on these, it has this huge actuator for the brake. If the brake is not pulled, it's basically a kill switch for the bike. So what we did was we went through and we looped it, getting rid of that kill switch. Found out the kickstand one was actually still good, because when I would put the kickstand up and put the bike up, I can hear the starter click over, but there was no spark still. So I knew the kickstand one was still good, but we tried bypassing that as well. Still nothing changed, still no spark. I had 2 CDIs, one from this one and one from the parts bike. I messed with both the CDIs, trying both of them out, and nothing changed, still no spark. The different spark ignition, I tried one from the other Cub, and then I tried one from one of my mopeds, still no spark. And that was, you know, having it plugged in, trying it on grounds, just trying to see if I can get spark using the Kickstarter and kicking it over. Came to the conclusion that it's probably the CDI box. So I ditched both these CDIs, and Andrew sent me out a CDI all the way from Italy. Super cool guy. He actually sent it out for me to try before I purchased it, and it's like a remake of a more simplified CUB EZ90 CDI. It doesn't use the, I believe this is for the brake switch. Completely bypasses that, as that's a super faulty issue on these bikes. I put in this new CDI, and guess what? There was still no spark. So then it just completely blew my mind. I was just about to strip the whole bike down, pull the whole harness off, take a multimeter to everything and all the harness. But then we discovered one thing. I haven't had this bike fully complete yet, so it kind of didn't cross my mind. But deep in the harness up here, there was another switch. So we got the start switch, but then there's an actual kill switch, a start and run switch, right? That was not plugged in. Now the previous guy, as you can tell, it's an old connector, have these looped. Typically, that is how you would bypass something, is looping it just as the brake switch, etc. Well, it turns out the connection on the kill switch itself on these is an open loop power. So you don't want a connection, you don't want the 2 touching in order for the bike to run. So basically, the last owner had it backwards. He had it plugged in and looped, which is basically keeping the bike on off the whole time, aka giving the bike no spark. I disconnected that, clipped it, and what do you know? With the new CDI box, the bike has spark. Again, I went through to test the theory using the old CDIs that I had laying around from the previous bikes, and still, when I plugged in those CDI boxes, it had no spark. We had 2 issues here. The CDI boxes were bad, and the thing was looped. Like I said in the first video, the CDI boxes are a very common issue in these bikes. I don't know what it is, whether something in there just breaks circuit, it was a faulty design, not sure. But the CDI boxes is very common to be a problem in these EZ90. We did actually need the new CDI box, but this was the issue. I'm assuming the CDI box went bad on the old owner, and he thought it was something else. So he went through, he bypassed the brake switch. I redid it because he had a sketchy design on how he bypassed it. He bypassed the kill switch, but he did it wrong. And then obviously CDI box still was bad for him. So that theory didn't work for him, and he left it as is and sold to me. But literally just the simple connection right here is what was throwing me off so bad and screwed me. If I would have been putting the bike together and like put the headset on and noticed the kill switch and then went to plug it in, I probably would have found it myself. But I was just testing the bike bare as is, and like I said, this was tucked way down in here. Like I slid this all the way back, but it was tucked way in there where he cut it, and I had to pull it all the way back out of the loop. You might not be able to see that, but there's spark now. It is time to hear the first start on the EZ90. So I got the carb pulled out over here. I have a bunch of pieces, we're taking it all apart. We're gonna clean out this carb, drain the oil tanks, I don't know what oil's in here, make sure everything's working oil pump wise, and we're gonna hear the first start on this thing today. I really wanna clean up this wire harness now and you know, fix it all up. It's like really MacGyvered down there, all taped together. I don't know what else he's hiding in here. So this bike still needs a decent amount of work. Stripped her down a bit. We're gonna get it real nice and clean because underneath all the harness was a lot of gunk and buildup. Use some degreaser. We got the intake port with the block off plate right now, so I can really power wash it without having the carb or anything on, getting full of water. So we're gonna get all this gunk out of here today and clean her up real nice and pretty. Just get all that gunk, you know, soaked in a little bit. Alright, bike's all cleaned up. Did as much as we can. I'm really debating if we want to go all in and do the swing arm right now. And man, what? Dude. But we really came in here and cleaned every bit of this thing, and I'm really just stuck here right now. I'm like, do I continue building it up and get this thing running and pile parts on it, or is it going to be something I'm going to be like, fuck, I should have took this off and powder coated it, I should have went in more. So I'm really torn apart right now, but most importantly right now we're coming in here, and if you see, this harness is just like, it's just falling apart right now. We got electrical tape coming off of all sorts of places. It's super dirty. We're gonna do some magic on this thing right now. I got some of my favorite harness wrap right here. It's like a felt style harness wrap. It's better than this super sticky electrical tape. So harness looking absolutely amazing now, all rewrapped. I cleaned most of the electrical tape. It looks good. This harness looks good. So we're gonna go ahead and line it back up, line it in the bike, and I'm gonna have to see this thing run. So we're gonna throw it together as is. All right, just sat here with the toothbrush, cleaning every single little crevice on the oil tank and on all the little clips and the main line from the oil tank, making this thing look brand new again. This thing was so gunked up. All the harnesses ran, everything's looking good. Got the key ignition part coming out over here where it does. And yeah, I'm gonna start slapping the oil tank in and getting it all hooked up again. Been absolutely going in on cleaning up the entire bike. So we got the oil tank in there now, we got the battery in there. Friend of the store grabbed some carb cleaner, so it's time to really clean up this carb. But cleaned up the gas tank a bit too. Got the little mount thing where the gas tank goes. We need to set the gas tank on there. Need to bolt this up. I just found some hardware for it. But like, dude, look how clean everything is in here. Oh man, I shouldn't have seen that. That's gonna bother me now. I gotta clean that up. All right, we got it all clean in there now too. The gas tank on now. Clean the carb and hook up this, which is pretty cool because looking how this air shroud is. Once this actual air shroud covers on right here, the fan blows to the head, goes in, wraps back around, then this hooks up and it actually blows to your muffler and cools off your exhaust area. So that's pretty cool how they designed that. This carb is absolutely filthy. Oh my. Oh man, look at that thing. Wow, what even is that? It's like clay. The float, look at this float. Uh-oh, that's a rough one right there. I feel like get this thing to loosen up. My favorite thing ever to use right here to clean jets. It's a set of guitar strings, so they're different thicknesses, and some are like the rough. So we could really get inside to clean these jets. Took the smallest string. Finally broke loose the pilot jet on here. This pilot jet was so clogged on here. I took an air compressor to it. I took carb cleaner. I've been sitting here picking at it using like wire. And then I remembered I have this set of guitar strings that's like perfect for this type of stuff. So just got this one cleared out. Finally, dude, it took forever on this thing. It still can use some more cleaning. Dude, this thing is bad. Alright, spent a minute cleaning everything, and this is all I got. I can clean it a little bit better, but for now, I want to hear this thing run. Look at the actual float bowl now. But float is now working and floaty. Carb is now ready to go back in. It is time, boys. Let's throw this thing all together now. I'll throw a fresh spark plug in it. Let's see what's happening, bro. Make sure it's still getting spark. It's getting spark. Alright. I don't think it's getting fuel though. I wish I tried without the airbox on first because it's a pain to get it in there, but let's see. Let's try some things. Oh my god. Alright. For some reason there's no fuel getting to the carb. What's going on here? Man. It is time, boys. The EZ90 is finally running. Boys, it is about time. This is just the start. Just the start of the EZ90. I must say though, that this bike right here, man, was this thing a mission to get running with all the electrical issues and all the little problem solving. Last night when I first got it to start with the carb cleaner, I discovered I was not getting fuel to the carb at all. I kept draining the bowl on the carb, no fuel was coming out. So I was thinking maybe it was just the carb was really clogged up or somewhere for the fuel inlet. I tried taking the intake port to the petcock and I sucked it through it. The fuel was coming straight through the fuel line. There was no issue with the petcock or the gas tank. And every time I was getting to the carb, it wasn't coming through. I then found out after taking the carb apart for like the third time, I looked at the prong that's on the float bowl, the one that actually tells where the float needle's pulling the fuel through. The prong bent so far down that even when the float bowl was at like up, when it's upside down, when it's hanging at its lowest point, it wasn't even hitting like the float jet at all to allow the fuel to come through. So I had to bend the prong on the float bowl so that it allowed the fuel to get to the car. Right when I did that, I put the carb back on, I sucked fuel through the petcock, and I drained the float bowl, and I figured out that there was fuel in the carb, kicked it over, started first kick, and I couldn't be happier right now. So the Kickstarter is seeing some love after like 100 kicks on it right now. We have that other spare motor with the starter on it. This one didn't have a starter on it. So I'm gonna pull the starter off that other spare motor, throw the starter on here. We should have electrical start. And now it just begins all the fun process of just throwing everything together, cleaning this thing up like crazy, and really building up this bike. So we have a fresh belt to put in. So when we take this cover off to get to the starter and check everything out in there, we'll throw a fresh belt on her, and it's only up from here, boys. I'm going to be polishing these plastics. I'm going to be trying to get the old logos off of them because we got some new slaps to put on it and new graphics and everything like that. So really got to use something to get this red back in here. And don't forget, we got some fresh tires for it as well because these tires won't even hold air right now. So now begins all the real work for this thing. And oh yeah, boys, it is Cub time now. Through and starting to button up the EZ90 a little bit. So just came in here, I bolted the gas tank down in the front now. I went through and bolt checked everything that I kind of messed with, like the support bars and everything like that. Went through, bolt checked all this, the exhaust, everything. We're all looking good now. Got the exhaust shield bolted up, which wasn't before. So it was missing those little 3 bolts that were there. Put all those in, come through, clean them all up, make them all shiny. Put the exhaust cooler piece on. And we also have some more goodies and bits in here. Like I said, we got our sticker pack. We also needed this, so we'll throw that on there. And also we got to take the bottom, somewhere in one of these boxes I put it, but the bottom throttle piece off my parts bike because this one's completely snapped. So we need that off the throttle, and then we also have that new throttle tube to put in since this one's all chipped up too. New bar ends to put in here as well on the end of the bars. Forgot this thing actually had a battery strap too, so just grab that. Andrew Zupa has these remade, so little battery strap action. Throw that in now. As you see, we threw a bar end in too. Clean this one up. We'll take the bottom part that still has the goodies in it. Still looks like threads are good. And then we have a new throttle tube to put on as well. So that means we gotta somehow save this grip. We might destroy this throttle tube taking this grip off, that's for sure. I managed to peel the grip back with the flathead a little bit and spray some soap down in there. I think we're able to get the OEM grip off without completely ruining the throttle. But as you can see, it was bad on the end anyways. But we were able to save it just in case. That's good though. Worked out perfect because the bottom half had the broken tab where the actual throttle cable went in. And as you can see, this is two different pieces because the other bike had the broken tab back here on the back top piece of the throttle. It's supposed to hook underneath there. It's supposed to have this little window. Well, the back one was broken. So out of the two, I was able to make one solid one. And now we have that. We have our new throttle tube with the grip back on it. So slide that back on there. Mega crispy now. You can see we got our oil pump super clean in here now. And well, what else do we got to do? We got an OEM front brake lever because this one was snapped off. Dialed. Alright, that is it for the EZ90 today. We have so much more to do with this thing, but this video will be an hour long if we kept working on this thing. But as you see, we got everything in here now. She's all filled up. This is crazy how compact this little area is on the Honda Cub, actually, with how big the airbox is. And then, you know, carb situation. And then you go on this side and you got all this, you know, air shrouds. But look how clean I got everything. Like, that is shiny plastic now. Got some plastic polish stuff that I have, and we went and gotten all the crevices, shined her up crazy. But she's looking minty now. And she looks good. So it's all compact, but Cub's in there. As you see, we got all the goods, little gas tank strap, you know, the new brake lever, the grips, the throttle, everything we did. Give her another kick over so you guys can hear it. But first kick. She's ready to rip, dude. She's ready to rip. Alright, so next time we work on it, we got a bunch of stuff to do. More cleaning up on everything, putting the new tires on, shining the plastic. We got the new foot bar to go across. We got so much. Also, to all my Cub boys watching this video, if you have a white headset, please let me know. I will buy that from you. Or I will trade you for the blue one I have. But I need a white headset to match the correct year for this red and white model. But I can't wait to see this thing complete. That's going to do it for this one. I'll see you guys in the next one.